All right, 717, the question is not connected to Moses. It's instead connected, I think it's connected to Moses in this regard, though. We talked about paganism and some of the issues going on in Egypt. And the person's question has to do with the moment in Israel's history where the first king of Israel, Saul, dabbles in this kind of spiritism, this kind of animism, or dealing with mystics, tarot card readers, that kind of thing. By the way, don't do those kinds of things. Don't mess around with those things. But Saul, this whole time, he's been ignoring Samuel's words. Samuel would say, do this. Saul would do the opposite. Samuel would say, the Lord's saying this. Saul would do the opposite. Saul's own pride, his own sense that he knew better than God, than Samuel. Well, he gets in this bind, and now Samuel's dead, and he wants to hear a word from Samuel. And so he goes to the witch at Endor, this known tarot card reader, basically, or soothsayer, and he goes to her to say, I need help talking to the dead. I need a seance. And what's ironic about this is Saul had helped institute a law that banned that kind of activity within Israel. And then when a desperate moment, when Samuel's now gone, he's ignored Samuel his whole life, but in the moment he really needs some help for info, he runs to this witch at Endor and breaks the very law he helped institute in the nation and says, I need to talk to Samuel, the ghost of Samuel. Well, we're told that Samuel, the ghost of Samuel, appears and tells Saul, you're going down, and coming to this witch is part of your problem, dude. I mean, seriously, it seems like that's kind of the issue, which is that you're messing around with this. You haven't gone to the Lord. You've come here to the stuff that you knew was against the heart of God. Now, who is the Samuel that he sees? My guess is this is just a vision or an aberration that God put there. I don't think Samuel literally appeals to Saul here. I think there's just an aberration, a vision that God sends to Saul. Maybe an angelic voice that produces an image like Samuel or a voice like Samuel. But I don't think it's really Samuel. I think Samuel's gone on to be with the Lord. But I do think God allows Saul, God's essentially saying, okay, you want to hear from the witch at Endor's abilities? You want to hear from the seance? You want to invoke the dead? Okay, I'll give you a testimony from the dead. You're going down. And so I don't think God endorses this at all. I think it's God lets Saul play out this wicked scheme of his and then face the full consequence of it. And God basically says, not only is what you're doing wrong, but your whole life is a disaster. Every decision you keep making is counter to what I want for you. You haven't listened to Samuel yet. Now you're going to invoke him through some illicit means. God says, you're done. And so I don't think the witch at Endor, I don't think that's really Samuel. I think it's just a vision. I don't think it's endorsement by God for tarot card readers or any of that kind of stuff. Don't go reading crystal balls. In fact, stay away from all that nonsense. Trust in the God who made you. Listen to him. Humble yourself before him. He will lead you and guide you. You don't need people for $20 an hour to take money from you. But that's essentially what Saul does. It's not endorsed by God, and it's an act of evil. And it seems like it's the culmination of all of Saul's life. Listen to God a little bit, but just enough to do what you really want to do. And that's really what's going on at the witch at Endor, and it's a great warning for all of us. We don't want to just dabble God in with the rest of our life and use him when he's convenient and use him in ways that is convenient. We want to follow him in humility with our whole life. God bless you guys. Y'all have a good week. We'll see you at 7:17 this week.